There's no great trick to applying sanding seal, it's really just paint it on. That'll seal that colour coat in, and then we can follow up with some clear gloss coats. So I'll let that dry and then do the back and sides, but that's basically what you do. You apply it with a brush, try and get it on nice and evenly. We'll give that a light sand once it's dried, and then we'll start applying some top coats. Okay, so I've let that sanding sealer dry overnight. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. There's a thin film of sanding sealer on the top of the guitar there. So sanding sealer, it hardens to an almost powder-like substance, so it doesn't require a heavy grit sandpaper to sand flat or anything like that. So I'm going to sand this back using a 320 grit paper and then a 400. Could take this up to 600 if you like. That's really all there is to it. So hold up the guitar and inspect. You can see it's taken on that powdery surface look. I can't see any shiny spots at this stage, so I think I'll be right to move on to the finer grit. But that's really the process. So just start with about a 320 grit, work your way up to 400. And as I said, you can take it to 600 if you like, but I've often found that's unnecessary. Okay, so we're outside again today. I'm going to be spraying some clear gloss coats on our LPJ guitar kit. So as you know, we've stained the body. We've then locked that stain in with some sanding sealer and sanded it flat. So next thing to do to get a nice mirror-like finish is to put some clear gloss on. So I'm using Rust-Oleum 2X Ultra Cover Gloss Clear. Okay, so I've got our spalted maple LPJ guitar kit back up on the bench. It's had about 12 coats of clear gloss and about a week to dry. And from here, what we want to do next is start flat sanding that clear gloss. So if I hold the guitar up in the light, you see we've got a nice shiny, glossy appearance of the paint already, but you can also probably see that peel effect through the paint, especially near that pickup cavity. So what that indicates are that there are different levels to the paint, different heights, and the light's reflecting differently in different areas. So what we want to do next is start flat sanding that height difference out of the paint and making it nice and flat. And from there, we'll lose that glossy appearance that we've got now, but we'll have a nice flat surface that we can start polishing up or bring back an even glossier appearance if that's what we want to do. So what I'm using here is an 800 grit paper. I'm just sanding fairly lightly, not too aggressively. I'm also just cleaning off the guitar and the paper fairly regularly as well. As grit builds up, just hold the guitar up in the light and just have a look at your progress. So I can see that I'm flattening out this section here. It's got far less peel compared to the other sections of the guitar, but it's also lost a lot of that shine. And that's really what we'll be going for right over the guitar. So from here, I'm going to continue sanding this using the 800 grit. I'm going to sand down the whole guitar. It's probably going to take a few hours, and we'll check back in on progress after that. If I hold the guitar up to the light now, you can see we've removed almost all of the orange peel effect we were looking at before sanding. I might still see a couple of little spots around here which indicate some low spots, but I think it's probably safer to take care of that with the next grade of paper. This time, rather than removing the orange peel effect, I'm essentially just trying to remove the scratch marks left in the 800 grit paper. Once you've completed sanding with the 1200 grit, it's time to move on to a finer grit of paper again. So I'm using 1500 grit next. Now I've left this to soak overnight, so I'm going to wet sand from here. Now wet sanding, you don't need to do that specifically, and obviously anytime you're using water on a wooden product, you need to be a little bit careful. We don't want water getting down into the pickup cavity or into the holes for the bridge. Keep a rag on hand. Normally when you're wet sanding, you use a fair amount of water. So you need to just keep a rag on hand so that you're not allowing any water to get into the pre-drilled holes, which obviously having unsealed timber inside those holes could cause the timber to expand and you may have trouble installing your hardware. Stage is I'm going to apply a rubbing compound. So I've got two polishers here, they're both automotive, and this is a heavy duty rubbing compound. I'm going to follow that up with a super cut. I've cut myself 4 clean rags, one obviously to apply the heavy grit and one to polish out. And I'm just simply applying to the guitar like so. And I'm working this pretty hard into the surface. I'm just going to work on half the guitar at a time just so you can see the difference. This is just off one application. You really start seeing a difference with this lower bout compared to the top of the guitar, which isn't anywhere near as reflective. So as we come back across the guitar, you can see we're getting that nice reflective glossy look to the guitar. So as I said, I'm going to polish the entire guitar over 3 times using the heavy grade and then move to the super cut. I'll bring the camera back then and we'll have a look at our work.